engineers out in the foyer. Like to call together our regular board meeting of the Centerville Community School District. Start by reading our mission statement that all students will learn well, become lifelong learners, and contribute positively to society. With that, I call this meeting to order with a roll call, please.
Johnson.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Mike Thomas. Not here. Bob Thomas.
Here.
Shondell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Liskus.
Here. With that, we'd like to welcome any visitors and open it up to a public forum at this time. Hearing no comments, we'll move on to approving our agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion second to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. If all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The agenda is passed. Next thing is to approve the minutes from the previous meetings.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the previous meetings. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And meeting minutes are approved. There is no old business. Moving on to new business. Centerville High School edition discussion with Rochelle Hines. Take it away. We've seen a lot of you lately.
I know, I'm glad to be glad to be back here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass that, well, this is for a little bit, like, you already have a copy.
Yeah.
Look at you. This is for the high school, DD approval, but, design development approval, but I will, talk a little bit of update about the other projects first, and then get to make a line item for, design development approval. So, let me get us hooked up here. Let's see. Thank you. Should have stayed hooked in, huh? Well, let's do a quick update on Howard, phase 2, while I'm getting this plugged in. We have a Howard phase 2, so it's been awarded, the contract's been awarded. And that will start construction here at school, when school's over. This is for the summer. We have a construction meeting on Wednesday, this coming week, to kind of initiate, timelines and make sure we got things ordered and all that. We've already been through all the submittals on that project where we've already gotten information on the air handling units that are gonna be used there, so they should have ordered those already, because that's the long lead time item on this project. And then we'll get kind of updates on where those sit as far as schedule. This one will be a quick turnaround, they know that, so we'll have to make sure they stay on top of it. So let's go into project update on the preschool. So for the preschool, we, Tom and I and Julie, met a while ago, but have still kind of continued to make sure that we keep this up to date. Oh, you guys aren't seeing anything, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, so for the preschool plan, this one you've seen before. Just wanted to kind of start this process again because we want to start to move forward on the preschool project. For the preschool project, we've been working with Julie and Tom on the programming needs, and Julie's been really touching base with her team to make sure that these spaces are meeting their needs. So a couple of the number one priorities from those teachers that serve the students are having restrooms for each classroom. So we've added restrooms in between the two classrooms here and here. Renovation of this front entry, so it is a secure front entry, so you have to be buzzed in to get into the vestibule and then buzzed in to get into the reception area. And that's gonna be renovated, so that's gonna be added in there. And then this little renovation to the multi-purpose space. Right now there's this wall right here that we would remove and make this one big space so that the students can use it for indoor activities, for most gross motor skills for that. And this has been, reviewed by the staff at that preschool as well. Any questions on the preschool update? Okay. So for the cost of this project, for the renovations and updates, we have some also mechanical updates that we're gonna be doing, fire alarm updates. We're gonna need to add, some additional electrical main panels. That total construction cost is gonna come to $7,885, $785,355 is our total cost for construction on that project. And then with soft costs, and owner items, it's going to be, you can see that bottom line item number here, which is $887,683 for that project. That cost has gone up a bit since the last time I showed you the cost for the improvements to the preschool due to our cost of construction going up.
Do you know how much that cost increase is? I'm trying to find that.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can definitely get back to you on what that number is.
I'm looking for the previous notes to see if I've got it in.
Yeah, it should be previous estimate, but I can certainly get that to you too, Kevin,
Oh, that's Howard.
so. I would say the biggest thing is the cost of per square foot has gone up for just renovation and materials and labor.
Okay.
For the high school, do you guys want me to go into the high school now, or do you have a design development approval that you would rather have me go into the high school project at that time? Which one would be better? Let me just continue?
Yeah.
Okay. So for the high school, just to kind of give you an update of where we're at with design and who we've met with. We met with user groups today at the high school and talked through the admin spaces, the general commons areas, the athletics, media center, teacher spaces such as the teacher workroom, classrooms. We met with all those groups of people today. Kitchen, we've been meeting with the kitchen kitchen staff and also our consultant, kitchen consultant for that design, and they're working through that. We're getting pretty good on that. It'll be a full service kitchen with a servery area that they'll have lines that will come in there and then service them into the commons area.
Now, the kitchen
Yeah.
consultant is a member of your company?
They're Rippey and Associates. They're actually out of Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we work with them a lot on a variety of different schools in our school projects. So they have extensive experience. They've done a lot of schools. It's kind of their main thing too. So, yep. They specialize in commercial kitchens, basically. So they have a lot of experience in that department. So overall site, and this is also in your packet, if you want to look at it a little closer here that I handed out. The overall site, right, you can see we've been kind of started to develop that a little bit further. We're working with Hall Engineering on getting some final design of the parking lots here. So we have a student parking lot on the north side, with access to, the existing high school on the south there, connecting there, and then it also connects back into the main entry here. And then we'll try to get as much of a parking lot as we can. We'll see how many parking spots we're able to get, just south of the weight room. Even if it's just a couple rows, it may be worth it so you have access there if need be on that side. And then a staff parking lot will be over on the west side of the classroom addition. So overall, you can kind of see where we're demoing. I have that dashed line in there that represents the 3-story demolition. We are going to be keeping a storage room on the north side there where that kind of lower pit is located, because that houses some of your mechanical equipment, tech wing. And then we will also be keeping some of those classrooms as well that are just south of that, that two-story just south of there. So that will stay as well, so we're gaining some storage room spaces there, which will be nice. Those will be both used as storage rooms. So getting a little bit closer in on the plan here.
Can you go back just a second?
Yes.
I got a question. So if the parking lot is here,
Mhm.
what's this space here gonna be once it's demoed?
That'll be all green space, open space, and we can even move that parking lot up closer if we wanted to.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
curious about.
yeah.
We told them that.
Okay.
Yep.
meeting.
Okay.
Yep, we had a meeting, I should have mentioned, we
Yeah,
also
okay.
just had a meeting with the
Right,
facilities
okay.
committee, kind of went over some of those details. And once we get a little bit better handle from Paul on kind of where we can position that parking lot, we'll
Okay.
have a little bit better idea, but yeah. we'll
Talk about the driveway we gotta maintain to get to that white spot.
Well, yeah, we don't wanna have to maintain that, right?
Oh,
So, well, you're talking about the one that we're just gonna do steps down to,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yep.
talk about that,
Yep.
because I've never heard that part before.
Yeah, so we obviously, right here, located here is a pretty depressed area that has access to, there's the kitchen that it has access to there right now, which you won't need in the future. It also has access to this mechanical room that we're going to be keeping. And it does have smaller equipment in that mechanical room. So we're proposing to get rid of that pit completely and not have motor vehicle access to that location lower and depressed there because of the maintenance and the, water that would happen, and the road is deteriorating already that's out there. So we propose getting rid of all that, grading it so that it's a nice sloped grade between this point and the west
Okay.
point. That's about a 5-foot elevation change. So we're gonna have it, so there'll just be steps that will walk down there, and, you'll be able to still access the door and get equipment that you need in and out of there. It just won't be a drive to it,
Okay.
so. Kevin, did you have any other questions?
Nope.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah. So a little bit more zoomed up on the floor plan, nothing really has, changed dramatically since the last time that we met. So I won't kind of go into much more detail on that unless you have any specific questions on the floor plan. It's pretty simple into it's pretty much the same as the last time we met, so. I don't wanna take up any more time than. So let's go into some of the exterior, I'm gonna kind of work us around the building today. I'm gonna start at the front entry here, and then I'm gonna go around to the weight room, that you'll see the weight room entry, and then I'm gonna wrap around and you'll see an entry and where that student learning area would be, or that outdoor learning space, and then a view of kind of this classroom wing here. So the front entry, I know a few of you have seen these renderings already, but the front entry has close proximity to the street, which is nice, but also allowing pathways directly to it, that defined front entry with that red volume that really gives you an opportunity to brand it as Centerville High School. This area here is the commons, and we will have large windows that look into it, but provide light into the commons, so you're able to have a lot of natural daylight in there that will make that space feel really open and large and feel big. This is a direct view looking south, so your main entry doors are here. This space right here is that admin wing that we were looking at. And that has the principal's office and then the assistant principal's office along here, and also a window into the conference room there. So now I'm on the south side of the building, I'm looking at that wrestling, or not the wrestling building is right here. I'm looking at the weight room right there. So also proposing to have some higher windows up there, so we have natural daylight in there. Those will actually be translucent, they won't be see-through. It is a southern facing wall, so having just translucent glass will provide you with less heat gain and also less direct light too. So add a nice light in that space, very similar to your wrestling room, you have that same feature. And then kind of just that Papa Red, again, trying to bring that Papa Red of Centerville as we can through, not creating another entry, but just kind of signifying that it's also a Centerville building. Here's that outdoor learning space here, classrooms, nice window sizes, they will be operable windows. We had some discussions today at our facility meeting about that. And we're using this metal panel and brick here. So brick we're going to match the existing as much as possible. It's not gonna be an exact match, it never is, but it's going to be close, and so we use that, so we can kind of try to fit in with the existing. And then we're going to also use this metal panel here, which is I'd say a mid-tone gray color. It's not too cool, it's not a nice warm gray that will pair really well with the brick. And then the classroom wing. So this is the end of the classroom wing here. We are raising that wedge that you saw in that corridor that will pop up. Basically, so you have windows that you see right there that will provide some nice daylighting into that space and allow it to be used in a variety of ways and create a nice, not, no light corridor, but create a nice corridor that you'll be able to use for breakout spaces or independent learning, those kind of things.
So there's gonna be some natural light in there. Will that eliminate the need to have interior lights on at times?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because what will happen is those have to be on a daylighting sensor, typically within 15 feet of every window, and have the lights on a daylighting sensor. And that means like when it's daylight, they'll shut off automatically, so that
Yeah,
will
I
help.
read that in the specs, I didn't know if that applied to that,
Yep.
so, okay.
Yep. That is correct. So let's go to the construction cost for this project. We are included in this $13,634,970 is the new addition, site work and parking lot, the demo of the existing building and some work to that, and also new controls and fire alarm in your existing facility. So new controls for your heating cooling system, which will help tremendously for you guys on that end. And then we'll also included a construction contingency in there as well for unknown conditions that might pop up. We also have listed here an update on the equipment and abatement. So for furniture, we're estimating $360,000. That's just a rough estimated cost. It really depends what the district ends up doing for furniture. Technology here listed at $150,000. That estimate was provided to us by Cameron, and then the abatement cost, which was provided to us by Tim, at $75,000. So that has also been added in there in this cost, as you guys have seen it last. And then we have soft costs listed here. Those really haven't changed since our last discussion. So a total construction cost, including soft costs, $15,370,188 for this building cost. And this has gone up a little bit in the equipment and abatement cost since we discussed last. So that is a slight adjustment, but I believe that the district is, I believe Lisa has worked through that, so I don't think that should be an issue, correct, Lisa?
Right.
Okay, and then finally, construction schedule. So I do have a schedule for you as well in here if you wanted to look at it. And that kind of outlines our schedule for phase 1 and phase 2. So what we're looking at is we're gonna start the bid process in June. So we'll go out, we'll actually print the documents in June. We'll bid it on July 7th is our bid date. And it will start following approval of those contracts and awarding of the bid. And then that will be it will be proposed to finish in December. And you'll have your move over date in December. And then once everything is moved over, when they come back in January after winter break, they're in the new addition. And then the demolition of that original 3-story and gym starts. And then following that will be site work, so. So, yeah, so then completion prior to your 2024 school year is the goal on
Okay.
everything. Any other questions or comments?
I've got to go back to our little meeting. When you're talking about those 4 rooms we're gonna keep, how are you gonna heat those things? 'Cause
We were proposing to do a cabinet, like not a cabinet heater, but a unit heater up in the corner, so we're not gonna, yeah.
I got you.
Yep.
He's got it, he's on with somebody else, but I think he's with Joyce. Yeah.
Rochelle, Mike Thomas here. I had a question about the commons area and the, I guess I call it the gymnasium.
Yeah,
Does that open up completely, or is there just a door that opens up about half of it?
I'm glad you asked that, that's a good question. So, this is a 20-foot opening, that is the largest we're really able to make that, opening there without, that's the largest door opening we're able to get, at a reasonable cost. So that is what we're proposing, so it's not completely opening up that wall, but there is connection, visual connection into that space from the commons.
I guess that disappoints me a little because that really would not open those 2 areas to a larger event if you only got half of it open. Is there a way we could put in 2 doors?
Yeah, we could look at doing 2, we could maybe do like 2 a little bit smaller, maybe like 2 12-footers or something like that. Could definitely do
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I'm not sure what the distance is across there.
Yep. Yeah, we can look at that, Mike, adding, changing that a little bit.
Okay. My other question is, what would those doors be like for, sound dampening between the gymnasium and the commons area? I mean, I assume the commons area will be used for a variety of things.
Yeah, so we can look at getting that insulated actually, like an outdoor door, so that would help with some sound, and then we can make sure that they provide some weather stripping around there. It's not gonna be as clean, but I can also look into that, see if they have any sound recommendations as well between
Okay.
there.
I don't think there's any really shutting down a loud gym, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be, it's not a sound, I would say it helps, it's not going to be prevent.
Yeah. yeah, depending on what the cost is,
Right,
I mean, unless it's cost effective and a very low cost to get 100% of the noise down. I'm not sure that we wanna pay a lot of money for a little improvement.
yeah, I'll look into it, and see what we got, and then I'll look into the 2 different doors too, Mike, to get you a little bit more space there.
My other question was about the kitchen. I see you have a dishwashing room, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I have not seen a dishwashing room in any kitchen, especially school kitchens, for quite some time. Why do we have that in a separate room?
That is a pretty typical way to organize a school kitchen. The reason being is you usually have students that will, let me get my pointer out here. You'll have students that will come from the commons and drop off through an overhead coiling door that will be at about 3 feet, or ADA height 210. Will drop off onto a interior shelf, and then they will take that and run it through the washing machine through there, and then that creates a separate space for washing all of your dishes and needs there.
But
That's pretty typical of what we've seen, what we do in most schools.
I have not seen that in any of the schools I've visited here in the last 2 months. I think it would tend to make the space not as flexible, and I don't think a wall is actually needed there. I also, is there like a the serving area, is that just like a big roll-up door and
Yep,
a counter?
yes, a big roll-up door, and then, I can send you the food service plans too, Mike, so you can take a look at that. But
Okay.
there is a big overhead equipment door there, and you come in, and there's actually gonna be two lines with equipment on both the east and west walls. Like equipment, I mean, not like food service equipment, but like trays and grabbing your utensils and things like that. And then along the, kind of almost aligned with the dishwashing wall on the south side of that is going to be your serving line, that you will actually have your food service staff be serving the students on the other side of that line there. So you'll have two lines, hot and cold lines that will sit just
Okay.
in line with the dishwashing wall. And then they'll come out, and then in the center, so there's two lines, how I'm saying that, one on each side of the overhead equipment door there. In the center, there's like an island, basically, that has like your à la carte locations, your milk, your coolers, and then also at the end, we'll have your cash register, your cashier station at the end.
And did your estimate for FF&E include kitchen equipment?
Yes, actually, the kitchen equipment is part of our project.
Okay. I would appreciate seeing a layout of the kitchen and what sort of, where your equipment might be located. That would help me a lot.
Yeah, no problem. I can certainly get that to you. That's not a problem at all.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I can get you an equipment list too, as well, if you'd like that.
Sure, that would be very important. Have we shared that with our kitchen staff?
Yes, we've had multiple meetings with our kitchen, with your kitchen staff, actually. I think 3 right now, as of now. We've had 3
All right.
meetings. So they've seen it. They've actually been designing it, basically.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Rochelle, could you
Yeah.
pull down to the north side of the commons?
Yep.
This is one thing that Bob pointed out in our meeting and Rochelle talked about. So this wall right here, that's where the header that's there at the main doors,
The historical
the-
stuff.
the historical stuff.
Oh,
That's
okay.
where that's gonna go, and
Yeah.
along with making basically a history wall.
Yep.
Long time ago, we thought that was gonna go over the entrance to the gym, but I guess the teachers were mad or somebody decided there should be a wall.
I think
Kind of like we did in
it
Lakeview.
didn't integrate very
Yeah.
well with that, and then we thought, well, why not do a whole history wall? You
Yeah.
know, like something that you can grow
Yeah.
on and make it,
Yeah.
more personal to Centerville and Centerville High School.
Yeah.
So,
So, Rochelle, I really appreciate seeing, that's the most of the exterior 3D rendering that I've seen. And I really appreciate seeing that because it's helping me to visualize what it's gonna look like.
yeah.
And I know we've got the science wing, the tech wing, and this
Yep.
wing that are all in different eras, but I'm really excited how it's gonna look.
Oh, thank you.
I really am. I just, I know we had some budget constraints in this. 2 years ago, I was in I won a competition gym there, but even Rick Parker talked me off the cliff on that one. Just to have everything for the high school experience at the high school.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited going forward with this. I'm looking forward to, starting construction. I like the design. The only critique I have of it is I think it's cruel and unusual to put the kitchen next to the wrestling room. It's just not fair to those guys.
The good thing is that whole thing is self-isolated,
Right.
so at least like it's.
Yeah, I'm looking at it just like, man, that's just like torturing the wrestlers in there, so.
I was thinking it was torturing the food service, but I didn't know it.
Oh, no, wrestlers, I mean, when they're in full wrestling, they don't eat a lot, so, no,
Yeah,
I really appreciate everything you're doing. In this area here, if we were to, is there potential to add a couple classrooms if we had all of a sudden a huge growth?
you could, where we actually have shown
Yep.
future classroom
Yep.
locations is right over here. So this little,
Okay.
area here is actually, could be,
Take a hallway out there,
Yes.
okay,
and
okay.
you can you have room for at least 4
Okay.
over there.
Yep.
And we'll actually have everything, I'm gonna say roughed in, but like there'll be
Yep.
pipes that would be able to be added onto for
Okay.
this current
Perfect.
system. So if you do ever end up in a need for additional classrooms, there's the ability to do that for
That
you.
would be, that would be an awesome problem to have in 5 or 10
Right,
years.
right,
It really
never
would.
know, right? So, yep, I think
No,
something you wanna plan for.
I think it's gonna, make the school look a whole lot more up to date and modern, and it's just gonna be, a good deal for the community, so I really appreciate the work you and your team are putting into it, so.
Thank you, you're welcome. Of course, it's team effort, everyone here and all of the
Yep.
people I've been meeting with, so they've been great.
I'll just, I guess, real quick, maybe touch base on, in the facilities meeting,
Yep.
we had a presentation, on the HVAC.
Yeah.
Trying to decide, Bob and I both thought the, chiller and boiler was better than the geothermal. So just to go with.
Is that the engineering conclusion too?
They didn't really provide that,
Sort of.
but when they laid it out, cost-wise and efficiency, it was a better choice.
Yeah, how many
Pay-
years?
Payback,
Geothermal would take how many years to?
I mean, it depends on the exact system, but
Right.
it was quite a while, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions about any other projects? Or like preschool or anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's no other questions. Appreciate all the time and effort. I know you're traveling down here a lot more, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Now, are we supposed to have that Wednesday meeting or something?
Can.
Okay. You going?
Okay. So as we move into our next item, Rochelle, I'm gonna have you help me. So what we're about to do is approve the design development for the Centerville High School addition. So what does that mean to you that we're about to do?
That
Tell
just
me
means
more.
we're continuing on with completing construction
Okay.
documents. So, but with the plan to go out with construction documents in June, and then
Yep.
we will bid in July.
So we're basically approving the go-ahead for you to continue with this
Yes.
document.
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
Everybody have time to read it over the weekend? I read mine today, so, okay, got it. In the packet. It was in the packet, yeah, okay. So with that, the action item is approve the design development for the Centerville High School addition.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the design development for the Centerville High School addition. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's not a roll call? No. Sometimes I can't tell the difference.
Usually she types roll call in there.
Yeah, I know, but when it is and when it isn't.
She'll let you know.
Yeah, I know.
She'll let me know, yeah. Okay. So do we have two ayes from our Zoomers?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the motion passes. And the next thing, now I don't know if Matt Gillespie is on there. I talked to Matt about 5 o'clock today, and he had another district that he had to be in on their meeting, so he, as soon as he gets from there, he's gonna come and join us. So, I'll let him walk through that, and we'll just kind of give him a little bit of time because, or we'll give him a little time for him to walk us through that. I'm gonna skip down, if it's okay, to do E and F, and we'll do some administrative reports. And then we'll have to come back to that until Matt comes up. Because what we have in front of us, and Lisa and I talked about this today, there's two bonding opportunities that we have to do. One is a general obligation bond, one is a SAVE bond, and sometimes in your minds, they can get a little confusing because the source of funding is different and the amounts are different. And the length of terms are gonna be different. So what, and I'm kind of stalling for time, trying to give Matt here some time. What Matt sent out was through Lisa, or Lisa sent out for Matt, was a packet like this for the finance committee to go through 6 different scenarios for the $3.6 or so million bond. And so that'll be up to the facility, or the finance committee to come back and say, we think we want a bond for X number of years and so forth. But what we really want to do tonight, when Matt can join us, is the remaining $2 million general obligation bond that comes from the taxpayer vote that's paid by property tax levy. So we'll give him a little time, hopefully, to join us. And with that, we'll move on to item E, is approve the tentative CEA, Centerville Community District Master Contract Agreement. It says pending ratification by the CEA, and did get and I'm sure you got the email here. Do you want to read Lisa's comments? So.
Yeah, we received this today. CEA members have ratified our tentative contract agreement for the next year, 22-23. An additional comment from Lisa Massey, the president of CEA, is thank you once again for all your efforts in keeping our bargaining process respectful and collaborative. We appreciate having a positive working relationship and that you were sincere in your desire to do the utmost possible with what you could. We ask that you kindly convey these sentiments to the remainder of the school board, which I've done.
Yep. And I sent her an email back on behalf of the board that again, I think it was, it was very positive. I mean, they had an ask and of what they wanted, and we had what we could do, and we actually had to meet 2 times. And we kind of came to what we, obviously everybody agreed and we thought was a reasonable sum. Was 3.006% increase, as we were kind of, from the board perspective, wanting to be around 3%. We had, I think it was $840 added to their base. We decided just to do $845. What's that? 55. And what that did was, from 850 to 855, what that did is took it from like a 2.999 something to a 3.006. And what we wanted to convey to the teachers was at least the number 3 and be above it. I mean, it was $5 to the base, it was a lot, but we just wanted to, be on the upside of things. We had a 1% new money net. We did give a 3%, which is more than the new money, so there'll be some budget challenges coming up there, but given what the settlements have been around the state and around the region, and really the impact of the economy on everybody's wages and everything, 3% is what the finance, or what the negotiating committee had agreed was the maximum that we could do and stay within our budget constraints. The loss of 27 students and $200-some thousand of funding was a lot to absorb. And then of course the teachers have ratified it, so I don't know, Tim, if you want to say anything, or Tom, if you want to say anything about the process.
Well, I thought we had a good process that was productive and fair and reasonable. It seems like everybody's walking away with no negative reflections.
My initial thought when I saw the number was, that seems fair, very fair for everybody. And I was very happy with the number.
That's the impression I got, and that they knew we were kind of handicapped with only getting 1% money, and they were. I thought everything was very positive. It's the first time I've set in on that, but it was. There wasn't any negativity.
Okay, Lisa, the new teacher, BA, no experience, what's that starting salary? Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that state mandated?
For this year or for next year?
For next year. People ask me that every once in a while.
It's gonna be, well, I don't have my file with me.
Just let me know tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So it was, and I thought it was very upbeat and positive, and it's nice to, and that's something I always remember Marty saying, is that we just have this very positive working relationship with the CEA, and having sat on this side of it for the first time, I concur with Marty's agreement and our assessment in that, to continue to have a really positive relationship with them is in the best interest really of our students, so that's why we're here.
33,300 or 631. That does not include the TSS. So that's just the regular salary.
Okay, so that is the case, okay.
So with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve, and I would ask everybody to consider approving, it's no longer tentative, but the CEA Centerville Community School District Master Contract for the next fiscal year.
Motion to approve.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with the Centerville CEA. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? I think I counted 7. And that motion passes. With that, the next thing is to approve the 2022-23 salary increase for administrators, directors, salary positions, and support staff. And per our past practice and the increase is that group of our district's employees get is equal to the increase that the certified staff gets.
I need to make a comment about my spreadsheet. I have a cut and paste mistake on the salary positions and administrators and directors on just contract days. So it doesn't have anything to do with money, but just in case you had a question about that, they're the continuing contract, so there's no change in dates. It just, I had an error there, so.
I didn't catch it.
so it says they work 240 days, but
Right.
it's really 261?
Right,
Okay,
but so it didn't affect the money. I just,
right.
I will abstain.
What's that?
I won't vote on this.
Oh,
Okay.
Motion to approve.
second,
So we have a motion second to approve the 22-23 school year salary increase for administrators, directors, salary positions, support staff. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We got Mike, all opposed, and Brooks abstaining. Okay. Well, Tom's gonna go into administrator reports as we're waiting for Matt Gillespie.
I think you had them, in, all of them, in your packets. I think you may be missing one, but I think you had all right.
Maybe 2. Is there one from Matt?
Matt,
I sent that out to later
Oh,
this.
I was emailed late this afternoon.
I didn't look at my later emails, I'm sorry.
I guess.
there's Matt's.
I guess.
And did I print it?
Oh, Karen.
out? I thought I put it in there.
Carrie's on it, okay. Oh, that is.
Okay. You said it, I did.
Okay.
If you grab a stack.
So, just read
I
the
don't know if there's anything to add to the reports tonight.
Yeah. Do any of the building principals have anything to add to their reports?
I'm sorry, I just sent mine this afternoon. We were making up ISAPs last week and we had a number of absences, so we were doing that. And then on Friday, Thursday and Friday, we did the conditions of learning survey. So I'm sorry, I sent mine late. Just couldn't say enough good things about how hard our teachers worked with our kids to create a positive environment for ISAPs. Those are, that's a lot on our kids, and our teachers just went in there every day with a great positive attitude. And the other thing I'd really like to compliment is the great job Natalie Brown did with our 2 choir concerts, our elementary music concerts. We had standing room only at the high school, and the kids just sounded great and did an amazing job. So we're really fortunate, like you said earlier, just to have great teachers doing great work for our kids and our community.
Okay, thank you. Well. And Matt, Matt Gillespie did not know where on the agenda he was gonna be, and we're moving through pretty quick.
So I guess going on that, we just need to vote
Okay.
basically to move forward with the Senate,
Right.
correct?
Right, so let's just talk about some of the bonding. So what this is the voters approved a $12 million of general obligation bonds that are paid back by property taxes. Okay? we issued 10. And I did, like I said earlier, I did talk to Matt late this afternoon. And he reminded me, one of the reasons that we did 10 at the time was to take advantage of the low interest rates, and we thought they would move, and in hindsight, that was a really smart thing to do at 10 million. So I asked him, I said, now remind me again why we didn't do all of it, and why did we wait on the 2 million? Because now interest rates are probably ticked up about a point. And what he said was, one, it becomes bank qualified, which the importance and significance of being bank qualified is that the cost to issue that bond are reduced significantly because, I guess I'm gonna say it's I may be wrong on this, but he didn't say it, I think it's the SEC requirements for bonding, that you have to get the bond rating and just the issuance costs and all the due diligence and everything goes in there. So at a bank qualified, you can go in, and a bank may not at this level require that level of detail, therefore it reduces what it amounts to our closing cost. The other side of that is, in his analysis of the cash flows of our tax levies, that we can issue this over, I think it's a 4-year period if I remember correctly. Yeah, these are 4-year bonds. So the way some of all of the other bonds, and this is what Matt does for us in this document, of all of the other bonds that we have out there to pay off, some of those bonds were kind of principal only, or I should say interest only for a period, and then the principal kicks in later, so that we can go and be bank qualified. A bank, like a local bank, is gonna want their $2 million back fairly quickly. And so by having this paid back over a 4-year period at a lower interest rate, even though it's bumped up a point, it's only for 4 years, so it's not as impactful as a 20 or 30-year bond with an interest going up there. And what it does is just kind of gets a chunk of it paid off pretty quick. And Matt said it's pretty typical to do that, and this is really in the best interest to do it this way. So based on that, I've already taken the opportunity to talk to both Farmers Bank of Northern Missouri. They're interested in it. Iowa Trust Savings Bank is interested in it. I also did talk to Community First Credit Union. They are not interested in it. And then US Bank is just so big that they can't do anything here really on a local basis. So, but I'll give them one more opportunity to do that. But basically, by approving this tonight, is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this document tomorrow. I'm going to take it to the banks and give it to them. And then in here there is a bidding time frame. There's an official bid form, and they have to be back to us by noon on May 9th. Okay. So this is basically, we're going to give that to them and say, go ahead and do that. Now, we have the option to accept or reject all bids. And if we need to, we can go out and he can put it out to some other banks. What we are going to ask the banks is to give us a fairly quick turnaround of yes or no, we're going to bid, because if only one or neither are going to bid on it, we don't want to waste our time, and we want to go out and get into other avenues. Okay. So then the other issue that will come up at a later time is, and this is what the finance committee is working through, is a 3.6, trying to get to the page there. I know my page is torn apart. It's about $3.6 million or so that will go out. And what the finance committee has to do is say, really comes down to, do we want it to be at a 12-year note, a bond, or a 20-year? And that all has to do again with cash flows. There's some pros and cons to both. A longer term frees up a little, because this all comes from saved dollars. By doing a longer term, the payments would be lower, which frees up some cash flow in case we want to do some other projects. But at the same time, what I'm really interested in doing, I want to lay out is, when do we get the most paid off the soonest, in order to reduce the district's overall debt load. And if something comes up, say 10 years from now, what is going to be the district's bonding authority to do a larger project in 10 years? And some of these notes that we have will, I call them notes, they're bonds, because some of them are loans in other places. They'll be maturing in 2028, 2029. It's $5 or $6 million of that'll be freed up then. And then one of the scenarios, we would have the $3.6 million paid off in 2034. A lot of numbers I'm throwing out there. The Finance Committee will come back with a later recommendation. I'm curious, since we're still kind of waiting to see if Matt Gillespie's going to come in. What is the feeling about a longer term with a lower cash flow on it versus getting the most debt paid off the fastest? Different people have different debt.
Something that size, I would think I'd support a shorter term.
You have any thoughts, Bob?
No,
You a longer term or a shorter term debt guy?
I wanna hear what Matt tells me.
Okay, okay.
I want to get things paid off as quick as possible, that's me.
Kind of where, that's where I'm thinking too, personally.
Brooke, which way do you lean on debt?
I'm not sure. I don't have a strong opinion either way.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I do kind of fall in I want to get rid of the debt as fast as I can. That way, if something does happen, I've got the ability to do more, so, okay. So, with that, I think, Matt Gillespie could be tied up for quite a while, so we may have to get him at another time. If we want to, if everybody's comfortable, is there any discussion on the $2 million general obligation school bond? If not, we could go ahead and have a motion and vote to go ahead and issue those the notice for the bonds.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and move forward with the bonds.
With the $2 million general obligation bonds? Okay,
Second.
okay, we have a motion, a second. Is this a?
This is a roll call, because
This
it's
is-
resolution.
This is a roll call, because it is a resolution. So there you go, Bob.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Mike Thomas,
Yes.
Bob Thomas,
Yes,
Shondell,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Liskus.
Yes. Okay. So with that, that motion is approved. And I think we've gone through everything. Tom, you got anything to add at the end?
No, I don't.
All right. So with that, we'll go through our takeaways and we start with Chris.
Well, I appreciate the ability to actually visualize what the high school is going to look like. It does me a lot of good just to look back, because, yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay. Mike Moore.
Mine kind of goes back, I guess, to the facilities meeting, since in here, just understanding the timelines of all the projects a little bit better. And then making, I guess, knowing that the prices still fit within what we're capable of doing. So.
Okay, and give us something you learned, something you want to learn more about, or something that the board, you think the board needs to think about. So, Mike Thomas.
I appreciate the fact that it seems as though our board is a little more active or interested in the high school design. And what I hope to learn is, a few more details as we go along. I really think it's important to get this right if we can.
Okay. Tim Berger.
This goes back to last week too, but dealing with the master contract with the teachers, I learned quite a bit there, and it was, I'd never been in on the bargaining thing, but I learned quite a bit about how that works, and you had to present yourself, and
We learned a lot from our attorney, Aaron.
I sure
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, he was really, really nice to work with, so. Bob Thomas.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna comment more on our facilities
Okay.
today, because we got more
Sure.
details than we had before. I think I was a little bit of a doubting Thomas whether we could afford this high school thing, but Tom and Rochelle had pointed out that we're probably in good standing to be able to pull it off. And they're more positive than I heard several months ago, I think.
Okay, Brooke?
I liked getting to see the preschool because I know it's not the same as the first sketch or whatever. So this is the first time I've seen what we're actually going to do. So I appreciate learning that.
Okay. So I'm gonna give something that, in the category, of something I think the board needs to think about. So this is not a criticism on the facilities, meeting and all that kind of stuff and the timing today. But as, over the weekend, I was thinking about something from a school board president's meeting, where there's a couple districts out there, and what they do is, at work sessions, they will have things like this, the document, and that's at a work session. And it's not voted at the same meeting that it's presented. And what that does is it gives board members time, a couple weeks to think about it. So as my weekend was extremely full and busy with some things, and my day, I didn't have as much time to read through all these things in the detail that I normally do. And so I was just thinking about, I get the timeline, I get why we're doing it now. It's also something that's our practice, but something I want to think the board to think about is, going forward in our work session, should we have a presentation like this? And then we wait till the next regularly scheduled board meeting, so we have time to absorb and read it, because at the same time of getting that document, Matt dropped all these spreadsheets. And I kind of like going through and reading these things and looking at them, and just, it became kind of task overload personally for me to get both those at the same time to turn around in a couple of days. So I think just going forward, I'd ask the board to think about, how do we want to go forward and manage our time and our personal workflow? You know, do we want to have it presented like this, or do we want to say, we want to take part of our, and I think Tom's really good about getting, you know, big major topics that take a big chunk of time, but should we maybe have one big topic instead of two or three, and then we have some of this stuff that comes in and we vote on it later? And I don't know where the right balance is, but I think it's something I want the board to think about, so.
I would echo Kevin, I guess. Yeah, not only, I mean, being in the facilities, you know, we just got this information, and it was nice, you know, it was great information. But then, I think having that time to absorb it, really, you know, things like that, and on my end of it, it's a financial thing. You know, when you guys have the facilities, or the finance meeting, and then something we vote on, kind of same
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in this, it's just, and I trust you and I trust Matt, but it's this really big major thing, we're getting at the same time, you know, what's the cost gonna be, and we're still trying to analyze, you know, the affordability of all of it, and just have some time to think through it. So that's just, I think that's something that I would think now, in the one district that I talked to, and I can't remember who it was, and if I could, I wouldn't even mention, I mean, they do literally nothing other than bills and personnel at a meeting that they see for the first time, unless they had it at a workshop. I mean, there is like nothing, not a single thing, and I think that's a little too extreme. Because I think there's plenty of things that come up that we can get in the board packet, and we can do this, so it doesn't have to be everything. But just think about it as we go forward. So I was in information overload this weekend, so that's fine. Okay. So, with that, I think we have completed our agenda. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Thanks, everybody, for the time. Becca, thanks for filling in for Cameron. Thanks to staff, thanks Tom, thanks to Lisa. I'm digging these shorter meetings.
I didn't get something to eat.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.